Let's do it then. Let's talk Trent Alexander-Arnold, Sam, because this was probably the game when the rest of the world clocked onto what we've known for a little while, is that he is by far and away the best right back in world football. He's so good at right back, he's probably the best right mid as well. He's absolutely something else, and it showed. And again, not to take away from the assists, which again we talk about, but capping it with the goal is everything. Because again, like anything, keep coming back to it. The assists have been there now for 2 years. But the goal scoring thing, I've been saying this for a while, at some point, he's going to start to stick a few of them chances away. He came very close in the Club World Cup final. He's had a few of them shots.
He nearly scored in the first few minutes.
First few, yeah. You knew he was on it then, didn't you?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think as well, though, on top of all that, they did analyse this quite well on Prime when they weren't talking about VAR, his defensive play is strong. All right, he does get beat one-on-one by the best wingers in the league every now and then. To everybody, yeah, but that just shows his level. They're expecting him to be as good as Cafu was defensively as Dani Alves was going forward, and he's starting to become a mould, isn't he? Like the ones where he came right across the box to take the ball away from Vardy or Maddison. That takes some serious pace and good positional play, because Vardy's rapid. And I just think he's always sweeping up at the back post for us in every game as well. I think his defensive play is brilliant. And there's just no words going forward. I think he's the best passer of the ball in the game at the moment. I think De Bruyne is great, and he's probably as good as Trent at putting the ball in the box. But I've never seen anybody play the ball from the deep right to top left like Johnny Wilkinson used to do with rugby ball. That's the levels he's at. There's nobody out there who can pass the ball. There's nobody I've seen in a red shirt ever who can pass the ball like him. The variety of pass he's got, he's unreal.
Yeah, he does absolutely everything. Yeah. But like the defensive thing really irritates me, because the way you say he's not as good at the back. Now, of course, he's not as good, but he's also the best creative player in world football. So, like the second, he's above average, well above average at defending. It's just he's just the most creative player in the world. So, of course, he's nowhere near as good defensively as he is going forward.
Yeah, it's like saying Virgil van Dijk's attacking is not as good as his defending. Yeah. It's very good. Yeah. It's well above average for most defenders.
He's right back in the best defence in the world. Yeah. And he's got the most assists in the team that's the best in the world.
And second in the Prem to the best attacking mid in the league by about 2.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
No, it's absolutely true. It's a standard, isn't it, John? And I think
I've never seen anyone at Liverpool who's world class at 21. I don't think Gerrard was.
No. Well, it's telling.
I genuinely don't think Gerrard was world class at 21.
No, 100%. I think Gerrard was 21 in the treble season. Yeah. You know what I mean? And bear in mind, he was in rotation in that side. He'd be in and out in that midfield because he was just exactly. He was just starting to find really starting to come into the team around that time, and he had loads of fitness issues. He had loads of his back at the time. He had things with that. But John, he is again 21 years old. He's not meant to hit his peak years for another 3. Maybe at the earliest 24. You're talking about starting to come into your prime. I was doing the reaction to this game the other night, and I just started laughing because I don't have the ability to process how good he could be. If he only stays at this level, he will be the best right back in world football. If he somehow manages to get better, I don't understand.
Yeah, it all can change. I mean, like you say, 21. He's still got time to grow, and I don't just mean that as a football. I mean physically. Mm-hmm. He might get to a point. This whole thing about him being in midfield versus in the back four, that decision might get made for him just by the fact that he fills out, and you go, all right, you've got to put him there. I mean, maybe all right. Traore playing for Wolves is like a rugby player. Maybe I don't know, but he's. I think you hit the nail on the head by saying positional play. He's just got such a good footballing brain, and I think that's the key thing. And to be, you look at Gerrard at 21. He was a great player, but he had to be coached into this is what you need to do to achieve your peak. I don't know how Trent arrived at being as in terms of his footballing brain, having just been able to see the whole pitch and always knowing what's around him, what he needs to do. But he's tracking back to make that block against Vardy. Unreal. He's been doing that all season, by the way. Exactly, and he deserves. I think Chris is right. He deserves as much credit for that. I think as he does for what he does going forward, because what he does going forward is sensational. But like you say, you tend to get that you have one or the other, whereas he's got both. And I don't know who we're supposed to be thanking for this, the academy, or whether it's just his innate ability or what. But the whole thing's just coalesced into something that's brilliant. Like, to be that age and have not just the pressure of playing for Liverpool, but also the fact that he's from the city, the whole, you know, the whole thing that goes with it, you know, being a local lad, it's just like, fucking hell. Like, and to, you know, like, they were talking about it on Prime afterwards, you know, like, he's been to 2 Champions League finals already, he's 21, and he's not looked out of place, you know what I mean?
Did he play?
He's won as many trophies as Gerrard at that age as well, and you look at it and you think to yourself, well, how does he actually improve? Like, I'm not sure, I don't know how he gets much better and stuff like that. Like,
10 goals a season.
That's it, you're right, yeah. The thing is, what I find really interesting is...
Sorry,
is like...
Is
people,
Jordan, you're okay, Trent, come on.
but what I find really interesting is, like, I joined in the team of the decade, and I'd asked Piliqueta right back because of his longevity, and that's fair. But in some other respects to it, you're putting Van Dijk in because he's just that level. Yeah. Put Trent that level, and let's be really like biased now and talk about him in comparison to some of the best right backs we've ever seen in my lifetime. Who I can think of anyway, Cafu and Dani Alves. Is anybody?
Alarm for me.
Oh yeah, of course. Now Lahn's probably more in the ilk of Trent because he had a wand of a right foot. But when you think about it, we're only comparing them to those players because they were really, really good players. A bit like Ashley Cole, really, really good players in a really, really good team. They didn't stand out and run games of football in Champions League finals and semi-finals. And Trent Alexander-Arnold was massively pivotal to us beating Barcelona 4-0. When did Cafu or Dani Alves or maybe Lahn probably did have a few performances like that, but he's genuinely at a level now that I've never seen a right back in my lifetime anyway. Yeah.
You talk about the football brain, sorry John, you talk about the football brain. He's like a fucking golfer as well. So and he's got every club in the bag and he can hit the ball to you however you want, however he wants. So not only does he see the entire picture, he's got to go, what one of the 18,000 ways am I going to kick the ball to him in a split second? And he always picks the right one.
And it's telling because look at the couple of the crosses he's putting in against Leicester. He like made up a new cross during that game where he like smacked it hard and low with a little bit of back angle back on it.
He made that one from Hendo last week, the other week, didn't he?
But honestly, and you're seeing stuff, and that's why I think the Kevin De Bruyne comparisons you're seeing it in the media, I think are really apt because De Bruyne invents passes. Like, and Trent did it for Bobby Firmino's goal in the semi-final, is it? In the Club World Cup, where he plays into the near post.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Like, that pass doesn't exist. No, it does not exist. That pass is it's not in the repertoire. If you made a computer game, you cannot play that pass in a computer game because it's not a real thing. Yeah. That's Trent is the beauty of football. He's the artistry of football, and it feels mad for me, a fella in his mid-30s sits here waxing lyrical about a 21-year-old
mid to late 30s.
Yeah. Just, but still. But this is the point he's got, and to get all romantic about it, like that's what stands football out from every other sport, and it's players like him and the ability to pick that out because he's
been
trying
watching
stuff.
Football for 30 plus years, yeah. And have you ever seen anyone hit a ball like he did to Bobby Firmino?
No, it's exactly that's it. I still watch it back, and it's like I can't fathom how he's come to that decision, and it's not fluke anymore. Like you see certain players, so like Phil Jagielka sticks a worldie in the top bin against us in the derby. That's you've got the ability to do that, but you haven't. Every one of us can do that. Yeah. Because it might take you more goals, but it's just kicking a football. But he does this stuff so regularly in every single game that it's just his class showing through. And when you hit your stride as a footballer, you try things and they work because partly it's training and partly but when you reach a world-class level, you unlock another level of ability and the ability to do these things. And I look at like players who had probably as much innate football and ability, like let's use Balotelli as an example of this. He used to go on the pitch and try stuff, but he had no idea whether it would work out, and most of the time it fucking never, because he never put the training into follow-up. Trent trains and has the natural ability. I don't know where this lad's ceiling is, and it's an absolute privilege to watch it. As you said before, a Scouser playing at this level.
Well, that's what I was going to come on to. Like that, in a weird way, the highlight for him in the game for me actually wasn't anything he did in the 90 minutes. It was the bit at the end where they're being interviewed, and the clock started singing about him, and he started smiling, and I was like, because I almost think like, Carragher did a really good piece on him on Monday Night Football where he said like, we compare him to Robertson, and Robertson plays like a fullback. He doesn't. He plays like a midfielder, and he's like reinventing the position. I think being that, like, and to stick people beat us with, that we're romantic about the scouts thing, like I think that actually gives him the freedom to do what he wants, because he sort of like, you know, like in much the same way, like everyone kind of, it's the cliche, everyone jokes, you know, like, oh, 10 men show up, you know, fucking hell, I'll throw a shirt on in the stands and dive on. He has that kind of element about him. It's just like, I don't care where I need to be. Like, I'll be where I have to be to make this work and just give it 100%. And, you know, he somehow separates that in his mind from, like, as you say, putting all the hard yards in on training pitch, but then still having that kind of thing of like, I'm just going to do whatever it takes to make Liverpool successful.
You can see it, when, you know, when we started singing the Champions of the World song, and there's a little smirk on his face. Like the camera's just on him, he's just got the ball in the right back position, and you can see a smirk of like, yeah, that's right. And then he, you know, in the game just keeps going. Everyone just stands a little inch taller, puffs the chest out a little bit more, and carry on doing what they're doing. And
but like Jurgen Klopp's one of the best managers in the world, maybe the best manager in the world. I think he's convinced me that he is this season, by the way.
Yeah.
And Trent Alexander-Arnold, as a 19 or 18-year-old, came into that side and changed Klopp's philosophy.
Yeah.
Because
of his ability.
Because of his ability. And Klopp gone, fucking hell, I might have to think about how this team's set up here. And because we need this lad in here, and we're going to have to play a certain way. And he probably doesn't fit in the midfield yet. So we'll throw him in at right back, we'll see how he does. And then he's gone, all right, yeah, we'll just build the team around our right back. Sound, because that's what we do now, like.
That's it. The moment for me, you mentioned the post-match interview, it's the celebration. He does the Mbappe celebration, doesn't he? And he's smiling because he's going for it. And then the camera comes round and he goes like stony face because he knows he's got to look cool. And then there's this, and if you watch it in slow motion, he hears Jordan Henderson coming and like his eyebrow goes up. Like the instant before Henderson smashes him from behind. And then all of a sudden this like, I'm trying to be dead cool. It just he corpses basically, and he breaks, and he just starts grinning his face off, and he's got all the Liverpool fans going absolutely mad in front of it. It wouldn't shock me if his brother and his cousins are in the crowd, and he's clocked them as well. And it's just, it's perfect, and that's the thing about it. We just haven't had a lad, and again, I'm talking about
since Fowler.
Yeah. Well, no, but we had it with Carragher, we had it with Gerrard.
But I think Fowler was the closest one to us, though, and Trent's like that.
But even so, yeah. But even so, just having a local lad in your side who goes out and dies for the shirt, and he's got that ability as well. There's just something to it. It makes you feel like it was possible. It makes you still feel like it's possible for you to do it, which is not possible.
But it brings everybody else in the squad closer to the fans as well.
Yeah.
They must look at it and go, look how much it means to this lad. Yeah. I'm going to do it for him. He's my mate, you know.
Yeah.
I can't remember I don't know if it was Hansen, one of the pundits said like 10, 15 years ago, oh, he's a PS2 player, tries to play football like he's playing a video game. And like, that's sort of what he does, by the way, Trent. But in a way that actually legitimately works, as you say. Like, some of the passes he does are just like, you know, oh, I'm just gonna play a 40-yard ball to the left wing because why the fuck not? And I'm just gonna put it right in front of Mane so we can run onto it. You know, why not?
You'd always felt...
He's giving everybody else confidence to do it. Hendo does it more, Van Dijk does it more. They all do it more because they see Trent.
Look at the Scouse lads we've had in the team now, and you'd always felt like they were like pushing right to the limits of what they had. And the talent, the God-given talent, and everything in between. Like, and then some of the ones that haven't been up to, like John Flanagan. We loved John Flanagan in that team when he was in that team, but he was always on the edge of, you know, he was just going to get found out at some point.
You were getting an extra 40% out of Flanagan because he was playing for Liverpool.
Absolutely. And even like, you know, and Gerrard always played with the weight of the world on his shoulders. And I think Michael Owen, after at one point, you know, he was always fighting against his own body. Yeah. Fowler was probably, admittedly, fighting against his own ego a little bit of time. So at the later stages of his first stint at the club. And, you know, they always had other things going on. Trent does just feel like it's his game. Yeah. You know, like everything else is playing at his speed, and part of that becomes because he's basically our playmaker. But you know, he's setting it. It's
we are all extras in the movie of his life, by the way. That's what this is. We're all just extras in it. This is a film about his life.
That's true, isn't it?
The Truman Show, the Trent Show.
Absolutely true.
Look, by the way, can we just before we kind of Twitter went berserk when he did that. I loved it. I just started tweeting reasons why we might sign Mbappe and sell Salah. Sorry, Salah, I love you, but you know,
absolutely.
Just flirting with Mbappe. On a fucking boxing night, you know what I mean?
Mbappe 2020.
Yeah, I love it. I like the fact that he's laid the challenge down. He's gone like, I'm going to be playing for Liverpool at this level for the next 15 years, mate. Let's see whose fucking celebration this is.
That's a shout.
Yeah, and we mentioned it briefly. I mean, we talked about this thing. At 24, you fell out. You go, you grow that way. You grow in thickness at that point. And that's the point where
didn't stop at 25.
Absolutely, yeah. We all know that, like, but that's the point where you might just find that he becomes Liverpool's number 6, or you might find he becomes the number 8. No, but you might. But that's the point.
But why?
But it's the Philip Lahm thing, isn't it? It's like you might have, because it's interesting. The Klopp talks about it. He names up Nico Williams as being like, we've got these lads doing in the shadow. We're creating these lads, and he's a talented lad. This is the big. We can't fathom this world yet because at the moment it's insane. Why would you move him? He's the best right back in the world, but this is what I talk about, the ceiling. None of us in this room has got a concept of how good this lad could possibly be.
No, what I'm asking is, why filling out does he move position? Why do people say that?
Because he's more physically robust. If he just becomes a bit more of a unit, then playing in the middle of the park maybe he loses a fraction of pace, and he becomes a bit more physically robust to be in the heat of things.
It'll be the system, won't it?
My thing is, I'm not having a pop here. I just don't understand why people say that. Like, genuinely, it doesn't make any difference unless you think he's good enough for centre midfielder now, but he's not physical enough, in which case then I understand it.
Oh, yeah.
But just because he fills out to move somebody, people say it like that all the time.
No, but like, it's the point. It's a point of like Jordan Henderson, age 21, couldn't have played DM because he was too lightweight. Like, it's the difference between putting
So what you're saying, what I've just said, you think he's good enough to play centre midfield, but he's not physically ready to play centre midfield. That's fine, I understand that.
Right now, we don't need him to, though, do you? Now, he's the most important. Right, moving him now would be detrimental. But if the system, let's say you said Nico Williams, if he becomes our right back because our system changes as it has done the last 2 years again, and suddenly we play a bit more like where City give the ball to De Bruyne all the time, and Trent maybe then comes into that sort of. I don't see him playing DM though. I see him playing more like an 8. Yeah.
There's no perfect way to play football, and by that I mean it never lasts.
Yeah.
You get a couple of seasons.
Teams always catch up. The defences always catch up.
Exactly. So you modify your game, and so we might have a season or two where this is the way of doing it, and fullbacks are the creators, and then at some point that'll change, and you might need defensive. But more honestly, we're probably just going to get to a point where you're going to need players of Trent's quality playing centre half in 5 years' time.
Yeah.
That's the way.
Like Virgil van Dijk.
Or we just have 2 right backs.
Yeah. Why not?
Nico and Trent. Stop that, you bastards.
It's pure overload.
Absolutely.